Hi, I'm George Nordhaus, and welcome to Monday Morning. We have an unusual one today because Lynn Thomas is going to be talking to you about your clients. What do they think of you, and what do you think of them? That's an interesting combination, isn't it? She's got 5 steps for success, and you're going to like them. First of all, I want to welcome the Combined Agents of America, an aggregator out in Texas and Oklahoma, Kansas, and so forth. They'll now be seeing this every week, and another aggregator has joined us, and that's great. So welcome aboard, CAA people. Let me tell you just a second about Lynn Thomas. Okay, here's her picture. Lynn is let's go back one, Lynn, there we go. Lynn is a JD, which of course is an attorney. She is the founder and president of 21st Century Management Consultant. She was a tax attorney, she was an accountant, she's worked as a private banker. She's got a great background. She was a change agent for the Bank of Boston. That's an interesting story. I wish we had time to tell you that she's written books. Authored articles and does all the time. She speaks at conventions, and over 22 years she's been working with insurance agents, insurance companies, independent agents primarily, and she and I have worked together for a long, long time. So, Lynn, welcome. Lynn, there's a first question I'm going to ask you is to talk about what you think about the Kinsey Report. Now, let me tell people what the Kinsey Report is all about. This is the report of the future of the independent insurance agents. If you can go to our archive, you can see the interview and the report itself, and the interview with Scott Addison and Roger Sitkins, and it's terrific because it really shows the difference of what's happening in the next 5 years. And one of the things it said, and particularly for smaller agents, but one of the things it said, here's what an agent's going to have to do, because all of the information that the agent ever needs to know, or any of us need to know, in 5 years from now, or sometime in the future, is all going to be on the computer anyway. It's going to be right in their hands, and their cell phone or whatever. So it isn't knowledge that takes it, that's going to make it, it's the internet that's going to drive it crazy. What do you think, Lynn?
Well, its conclusions, George, don't surprise me. And we spoke probably about a year ago that I was seeing that in the agencies that were specializing in personal lines and small commercial, it was starting to take business away from them. And I think agents have about a year or two to really revamp their agencies to become and remain very profitable. I agree with Roger and Scott. This is not at all the end of the small agents, but the end for those agents that don't have to see that their role continues to evolve. I've always believed that agents are true advisors. And the issue I always thought is they didn't see themselves as the insurance experts or the insurance specialists. They'd be looking around like, who are those people? In my opinion, they actually minimized and even demeaned their role. They played a very vital role for many, many clients, and they do. And as a tax attorney who works in an accounting firm, from my point of view, they're the same as attorneys, accountants, physicians, and dentists. They give advice. And what I found over the years, George, people are willing to pay a lot of money for advice, not much to buy insurance or to be sold insurance. So those that do see themselves as an advisor and that they are helping their clients identify and minimize and reduce the risk and identify the niches that they can attract clients and work with them profitably, those are the ones that are going to do very well.
Well, I think you're exactly right, and I think McKinsey's right. And once again, I'd like to encourage everybody who's listening to this to go back to the McKinsey Report. All right, what are you talking about focus here?
Well, many of my clients have said, okay, what do we do? Given the McKinsey Report and the changes they've seen over the past number of years, what are the first steps? And the first step is to focus on your top clients. That's the old 80-20 rule. For some, it's the 90-10. And to identify those clients and look for the niches that you have. All agencies have them. They may not be able to define them. So it may be on the personal line side, you specialize in working with clients. You do the best to clients who have 2 homes or have large extended families. So there's a specific need that you need, that you easily need. And then focus 80% of your time and efforts on them. It'll pay off handsomely. The goals then are to retain them, to cross-sell them, ask for referrals, possibly have them as an advisory board, gather their insights for how your agency grow. They are the engine for the future growth of your agency.
I guess client retention and client satisfaction kind of go together, don't they?
Well, yeah, client retention is real important to the bottom line. And there's a statistic I have it's from Bain & Company, and it says a 5% reduction in customer retention defection rates increases profitability from 5 to 85%. And in the insurance industry, George, it's usually 35 to 85%. And so it's a dramatic positive impact on the bottom line, and it has a multiplying effect. And so it's really a hidden strategy to profitability. So the importance of really retaining one-for-one. So if an insurance agency increases sales by 5%, the bottom line impact is 5%. They decrease expenses by 5%, the impact is 5%. But if they increase retention by 5%, the impact can be anywhere from 35 to 85%. And it has a multiplying effect because what happens when clients stay with an agency is that they give more business. They refer clients. They already know about the products and services. They're not calling in with questions because they've been with you for a period of time. So it's a really powerful impact on the bottom line. And people have said to me, what's the difference between client satisfaction and client retention? And there's a world of a difference. First, satisfaction really refers to the attitudes of your clients, and that doesn't correlate with the bottom line. There's 65 to 82% of us, George, that leave companies all the time, and we're satisfied or very satisfied. So it's only really high levels, extremely satisfied, that really keep clients. And not many organizations know they need to shoot that high. Also, retention focuses on the behavior of clients. What do we want the frontline people to behavior they want to receive from the producers, from the CSRs? And until you identify that behavior, you're not really sure if you're hitting on what we call their hot buttons. And that's really vitally important to make sure their experiences are as positive as possible and that it has a positive impact on the bottom line.
I believe it. The cross-selling, we've already talked about this so many times, referrals, your impact, retention. I mean, all of us who are kind of agency consultants or promoters or whatever we are, we've been beating on this for so long. When you say that at 85 percentile on a retention basis, that's higher, that's just amazing. It blows my mind. Go ahead, though. Sorry.
Yeah, with cross-selling referrals, which would be the third step, for small agencies in sort of revamping themselves, there's really substantial impact on profitability. So the likelihood of a client leaving, if they buy a second policy with you, it decreases by 54% and by 83% with the third. So the incentive not only is that it decreases the likelihood of them leaving, but it also is much better service. The probability of selling to an existing customer is 60 to 70% versus a brand new customer, which is 5 to 20%, and that's for marketing metrics. So there's some statistics to that. I also think it's akin to like a physician who only wants to. Some people say, well, I'm really good at selling, small business, and that's what I want to do. Or I sell to municipalities, or I sell homeowners, and that's great. But how well are you really servicing your clients if you're like a doctor who only wants to get one kind of medication? You're not serving your clients, your agency, and your clients have been fully sold and fully sold, cross-sold, and that you really identify their needs. And the analogy that I think portrays this best is that if we go to a dentist, the dentist looks at our whole mouth. But in third cases, if you have homeowners with one and auto with another, you split some of your commercial line small business, it's like giving one dentist your top teeth and the other dentist your bottom teeth, and we would never do that. Because we take
why do some agents have difficulty asking for those? I've talked to agents for years, and they just won't ask for referrals. They won't ask for they won't emphasize. What do you say to them? Get your pay year?
Yeah, well, these are new times, so it necessitates new skills, new tools and techniques. And I think it comes down to being willing to be uncomfortable because that's how you grow. And I would just suggest rehearse in front of a mirror and videotape yourself, do it in front of your colleagues, do it in front of your family until it becomes a habit and you get comfortable with it. It is a critical talent. It is a vital skill to have in order to be successful. And especially because the insurance industry has the highest customer acquisition cost, you really need to focus on referrals because your top clients don't know other top clients, and that's the best way to keep your business ahead.
Hey, just one other, before you go to that net promotion, let's leave it there, but I want to tell you, Roger Sickett said the other day when we had the Kinsey Report, he said 60% of commercial lines, small commercial lines business is one policy business. Would you believe that? And I guess that's kind of what you're saying here. I mean, I can't imagine that, but people, that just ties right in exactly with what you're saying in the Kinsey Report, too. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, the Net Promoter Score, which some of your members may be familiar with, and some people say, is it a valid benchmark for agencies? So, per se, I've worked with agencies that have had positive 56 to negative 24, and the positive 56 within 1 year of my working with them, they were acquired, and there was definitely a different feeling of energy and how they were treating their clients and interacting with each other. And companies that use the Net Promoter, just to give a variety, you have Dead Air, JetBlue, Southwest Airlines, you have Apple, you have Home Depot, Hertz, GE, Honeywell, American Express, et cetera, Fireman's Fund, nationwide. So it is being used by many different organizations. And what it says, it's really powerful that there's one question, it's called the ultimate question. And it says, and many of your members are probably familiar with this, how likely is it that you would recommend a family or family member to our organization on a scale of 0 to 10, with a 0 being not at all likely and 10 being definitely? Those that give a 9 or a 10, George, are called promoters. And those are looked upon as they will give 80 to 90% of the positive word-of-mouth advertising for an agency. So those are the people that are going to bring you your business. That's the fire of your agency's belly. That's your future growth, where your future growth is coming from. They will stay with you longer, refer more, and buy more. The 7 to 8 are passives, and they're okay. They're sort of here today, gone tomorrow if a better opportunity comes along. And anyone who gives you a 0 to 6, they're called detractors. And Frederick Hell, the founder of this concept, said the best thing to do is either move detractors up to passives or move them out, because they're responsible for 80% of the negative word-of-mouth advertising. And there are the liabilities. One key here to take is you take the percentage of promoters, subtract from that your detractors, and you get your Net Promoter Score. What that is, it is a current, it basically looks at the current agency's growth rate today. So if you want to know what your agency's growth rate is on any given day, and you send out an email to your clients, your top clients, you can know how fast your agency is growing or how fast it's shrinking. It's a very powerful tool, and I would strongly recommend agencies using that as they start changing the agency to make sure that they're on the best track.
Okay, if you want to know more, the listeners want to know more about the Net Promoter Score, could talk to Lynn later after we finish this, or sometime soon. I got to do it. Okay, complaints. Oh boy, seeking complaints. I'd never heard of that before until you came along. I never had anybody that seek complaints. What are you talking about?
Well, complaints, there's 4% of people who complain, and the rest of the other 96% walk away quietly, except they talk. And on average, an upset person will tell 11 people about their experience. So again, going back to the detractors, one of the reasons Frederick Nordhaus says you need to either move them up, you need to identify them, move them up, move them out, is that they're constantly shrinking the number of prospects you have out there because they're telling the world about their negative experiences. And you can't afford that. They're also hidden gold mines, because if I were to go to a grocery to the cleaners and drop off 5 shirts, and I come back the next day, and the 4 shirts are perfect. And I notice on one shirt a button's missing, and I say to the person at the cleaners, you know, there's one button. They say, no problem. Come back tomorrow, we'll have it done. And I come back the next day, and it's perfect, and I leave. How likely, George, do you think am I more or less loyal after that incident?
Good question. I don't know. Not very good, probably.
Yeah. Well, actually, what most people say is more loyal, because they actually addressed my problem.
Oh, that'd be good then. I see what you mean. Yeah, I see. Yeah, good. I understand now. It took me a while.
Yeah. No, that's it's more loyal, because basically we don't treat people who complain really well. They're hidden gems. These people are willing to take their time, which is very precious to all of us, and basically say, maybe not in the nicest manner, but say, this is a way you can improve your agency. Please listen to me. Because soon they're not going to listen to you, and after 4 to 5 negative incidences, they're going to leave. And you don't want them leaving, and especially then negative word-of-mouth advertising travels much faster.
You talked about companies utilizing online surveys. I don't know if those really work. I've tried them, and I've not been very good at response with them. What do you think?
Well, what we have done in customizing all of our work with top clients, we only do really telephone interviews or Skype interviews, and we have found that the amount of data that we're able to extract from a conversation and probe underneath their initial response is so much more valuable and so much richer. It's like you and I, George, would not hire somebody over the telephone with an online survey, and not even probably over the telephone. But if these are your best clients and they're generating 80% of your revenue or more, have us or somebody else spend time with them, an independent third party interviewing them on the questions that are important to find out what are their hot buttons, finding out what are the preferences of communication, how they want to be communicated with, how your agency can excel, how to delight, how to wow them. Get them in a conversation, and you'll be surprised at the depth that they're willing to go into because they love you. These are your promoters. They love you. And we have just found out over the years that the online surveys get to a certain level of data, but it just scratches the surface. If you really want to probe down and find out the reasons for their behavior, why they're doing what they're doing, staying with your agency, referring, not referring, buying more products, not buying more products, you need to ask sometimes the hard questions. And, it's client intelligence is a great way to help an agency grow because you really need to know, as the title says, you need to know what do your clients think about you? What do they think about your agency? What are the strengths, weaknesses? And really listen to them. And the more you listen to them and ask questions and not be defensive, they'll give you gems that you could not get in any other way.
I've seen some of the telephone interviews you've done, the results of them over the years, and it's just fascinating. Well, what's your conclusion on this? Super good relationships, huh? Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, the idea is to have really super glued relationships with your top clients. And even if you can do more than your top clients, fine, but you must do with your top clients. And it's really the 5 steps we went through. Focus, who are the 80-20. Identify those, make sure everybody in the agency knows who they are. Make sure they're cross-sold and you're asking for referrals. And it can be uncomfortable. That's okay. That's how you grow. Net promoter score, you have to know how you're doing. Am I creating more promoters, fewer detractors? What am I doing and how fast is my agency growing? Seek their complaints, actively seek their complaints. Tom Peters, the most expensive consultant in the country, says beg for complaints. He says they are so valuable. And then interview them. Be willing to hire an outside firm, or if you feel you can do it yourself, there's bias there. But to interview your top clients to find out some gems that 2 or 3 or 4 of them can make a difference between your agency surviving and then thriving and then being hugely successful and profitable.
And it leads to long-term profitable growth. Hooray, hooray. I kind of figured that was coming.
So we're really client relationship experts who help clients create super glued relationships with their clients and employees to generate long-term profitability.
Well, I think it's terrific. Put on, maybe how do we can we talk to you? How do we contact you, Lynn? There it is. There's Lynn's phone number, 21st Century Management. Go into that website of hers, 21stcenturymanagement.com. You see it there. She's got some blogs in there that are really, really good. And there's a case study, some case studies in there that'll knock your socks off. And I really like that. And I know you can come in and increase people's profitability in 3 months, and that's an amazing thing. And I really like what you guys are doing because you're gluing client relationships. And of course, we all know the profit's going to increase if we do that. So, Lynn, I thank you very much, and we've hit this thing pretty fast and hard, but they can get a lot more information by contacting you. And I want to thank you very much for taking the time and effort. And it has been time and effort because we've both been traveling, and it's a little bit difficult. But at any rate, I want to remind people before they leave to go back to the email address. So you can get the archive there underneath the pictures. You'll see, click on that, and you'll have the live archive to see all of these many webinars that we've done. And, of course, the last one will be Lynn's. You can send people back to that. Go back to it to see the Insurance Community Center quiz flash, and that's always fun every week. And then you can get the E&O tip of the week, and it's as easy as that. And for all of you, we'll see you next Monday morning. Lynn, thank you again.
My pleasure.